So I played Betsy in the Heavy Hitters solo format at Celebrational, and then again in sealed format at the Heavy Hitters World Premiere. Now, one of my favorite 3-card Betsy plays from the weekend was the front pump wager and then Betsy buff on her hammer, coming in buffed, wagered, and then overpowered. But you know what's even more promising with this playline in Constructed is Anothos. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my Flesh and Blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando, and go again, a fabulous cast, and happy Flesh and Blood Friday. Today I'm talking a kind of a concept build I've been playing around with Betsy and Anothos. I'm going to specifically be talking Blitz today, but the concept carries in Classic Constructed, obviously, as well. Now, the gist of what I'm talking about tonight, right, let's look at Betsy, her overpower thing, right? Her ability, when an attack you control wagers, an attack you control, right, not an attack action, when an attack you control wagers, you may pay 2, if so it gets +1 in overpower. And then we have Anothos, of course, the age-old Guardian weapon, 3 attack, but while there's 2 or more, it's coming in for 6, or +2 for a total of 6. Right, so these two inherently go very well together with something like to call 2 blues and a pump. So what Betsy wants to do, right, I'll throw up her chapeau, which arguably is cracked, right, assuming you can get the gold to do it, which probably makes it, in retrospect, now we've been playing Constructed for a while, probably makes it not cracked. Obviously, if you have a bunch of gold, it's pretty good, right? But the chapeau, even if you don't have a card that can wager on its own, you can crack a gold on the chapeau and make it a wager, and then obviously if you have the stuff, you can feed Betsy. Although, can you feed Betsy enough? I don't know. It never feels like enough, especially with D-Reacts and non-action cards floating around. Right now, so the idea specifically is this. So money where your mouth is, right? So to the gold point, money where your mouth is a 1 for 3, 2, 1 that lets you wager a gold on your next attack. Again, it is not specific to attack action. It works with Anothos. So you can do things like what I'm showing here. You can come in for, with Betsy, off 2 blues and a pump, you can come in for, on the red, 10 overpower on Anothos, which is pretty cool. It's absolutely pretty cool. And then I also play, again, in the concept build, lead with power, works pretty well because it's a might. If you can somehow wager that, again, 2 blues and a pump. Right, so now I want to be very clear. That is not the only thing this deck is trying to do. Obviously, the deck's going to play your wager 3 7s, right? Wage gold being a very important way to get gold. Wage might. Wage vigor is the Guardian one. And then, of course, you're going to be playing her spec, bet big. Obviously, you are. Okay. So that's the concept of the deck. You can throw pummels in there too. Unfortunately, it's very forecasted. If you're coming in wagered, it's very forecasted when you're going to pummel because you're like, I'm not going to overpower Betsy, and I've got a card in hand and 2 floating. Gee, I wonder what's going on, right? So, but hey, it's still a pummel, and a lot of times there's nothing they can do about it. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up my deck. Actually, before I bring up my deck, I want to preface this is a concept build, okay? I will post a link because people hate it when I don't do that. But this is a concept build. This is not like, hey, there's a reason that my thing doesn't say deck tech. This is not a deck tech. This is a concept build that I'm playing around with. The current build right now has way too many reds in it. I'm consistently drawing too many reds and not enough blues, which undermines my entire theory, right? I also do struggle in many cases with the overpower to actually make the gold that I need to get the engine going. All right, against certain decks, it works great. Against other decks, like the boatload of victors that are out there right now, well, it doesn't work super well. All right, so this is the build, okay? Or at least the concept build. Like I said, do not take this deck and go jam it. Take this deck, copy it, make something better, and then report back and let me know. Because it's not quite working for me, but I really do like the concept here. All right, so I'm playing a Guardian Wall, okay, Guardian Fridge. Unfortunately, we can't play Shield because Anothos is two-handed, so fair enough. And then I have, again, you can see there's quite a few reds in here. I'm at 20 reds, 18 blues. That doesn't seem bad, but I gotta say, I seem to be drawing too many reds. That's what it feels like. So we have Bet Big on there. Obviously, Bet Big works great on its own. Anyway, I'm not going to run down all of the cards, but because again, this is just a concept build. But what you see is Money Where Your Mouth Is. I'm intentionally not running the blue Money Where Your Mouth Is because I don't really, I think that's not going to work. And I don't want to run a 2-block blue if I don't have to, when it's not really going to work in my favor anyway, right? So that's the thought there. And then, you can see the rest. There's 6s in there for poppers and trying to do clashes. So I'm not playing the red Gold Clash card, the red Gold Clash block. I'm not doing, I think it's Test of Might, right? I believe that's correct. I'll put it up and confirm. But I'm not playing that intentionally because part of the definition here, you've got pummels. You have pummels, reacts, Money Where Your Mouth Is. You have lots of things that don't favor Clash, and I'm just not a lucky person when it comes to that, right? I've got Sigil of Solace in here as well as D-reacts. You get it, right? It's not favorable for that. I know that's another way to make gold. Maybe you change your deck different to that end, but I think then you're skewing more towards a Victor deck, and that's probably something to really consider. Why are you doing this? And to be fair, this deck concept may end up not working. I just really like the synergy. Again, coming in for 10 overpower feels pretty good. And it's pretty repeatable to do that. The problem is it feels to me like you have to play Betsy pretty aggressively. That's at least what I'm finding. And then a lot of times that ends up biting you because they've got the D-react and all of a sudden they're blocking. And sure, maybe you win your wager, but you only push through 3 damage and then you have to do it again. And so those are some of the challenges I'm running up against. But again, I think once this is out and gets some reps, I think we can definitely improve on this. All right, so that's the idea there. So let me shut that down. Now let me talk about some things that I've been thinking about to kind of change the deck, or at least change the strategy maybe a little bit. So you'll notice there was the absence of like Big Bop, and then I keep forgetting what the opposite of Big Bop is. But you know what? They're both 3 drop auras that are +5, and then Wager, Might, or Vigor, depending on the card. So you can put those in. Those seem really good with Betsy because it's got the Wager on there. Obviously, it's a pump into that. Now, one thing that I've been seeing is working really well is you can drop this. So if you play like the full rainbow of Thunderquake, right, which is your heave. I've even seen some people playing Pulverize. A little expensive for me. Maybe you do 1 if you want to be cute. But you play the full rainbow of Thunderquake, and what you can do then is when you're dropping your Big Bop, you can also heave. I don't know why it didn't click to me to do that. That seems doable here, right? Because then you have the Thunderquake, like red Thunderquake, coming in for 10, effectively not effectively because you paid for it before, but it would come in for 10 +5 wagered, and it only costs you 3 to do it. Maybe you draw a pump, right? You start to see. So that's something I need to play around with as well. The question is, what does that cost me to get there? My guess is it costs me some of my defensive cards, which, like I said, you kind of have to play aggressive anyway, so maybe that's not a bad thing. It just feels kind of funny to say play her defensively when you're planning on using a whole turn to drop something to attack big on your next turn. But it's something, right? But it's something. So anyway, that's basically it for today. But this is something I have been playing around with. I think it's a very interesting concept to be able to, again, lead with power doesn't necessarily let you wager, but it leaves the 2 out there to threaten pummel and carve, so they have to respect that. So I really do like this concept of like the pumped Anothos, right? Coming in for 9 or 10 with the overpower, but coming in for that, they have to respect that off of a weapon. Right, and the reason, to be clear here, the reason I'm primarily doing this in Blitz is if I come in with 9 in Blitz off of my weapon attack, they have to respect that, right? Sure, they can throw armor out at once, but if you come back and do it again, they have to respect it, right? So that's why I'm skewing more towards this in Blitz. I think from a long-term perspective, Bravo and Victor are probably just better in Classic Constructed, not even just in this build, probably her in general. But I think in Blitz, there's something there, right? I mean, who hasn't been on the receiving end of a Golden Sun, right? Which is 10 overpower. That hurts, right? It hurts regardless. And this is 10 overpower that is a little more set up, I suppose, than his thing. But you get it. So anyway, that's it for me today. Just wanted to share this and where I'm at with it. I'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts. Has anyone else been trying this or something similar, going a different way altogether? Let me know below. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining, and go Commando.